All right, good morning, everyone. It's so great to see some familiar faces and some new faces as well. We're just having some technical difficulties, of course. Gotta love Zoom, right? One of our presenters, his screen froze, and so he's logged off, and we're just waiting for him to log back on again. But while we're waiting for him, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam Kassam McPhee, and I am the Membership, Advertising, and Events Coordinator here at the Milton Chamber. I've also been a Milton Chamber member for the past 10 years with my own business, Family Zoo. And I've been with Milton Chamber for the last year and a half. So I love this team. I love the concept of the chamber, and I love supporting businesses. So I'm glad to see you here. Our Live at Lunch series happens once a month. And what we do is we tap into our memberships and our expertise. And we invite members to share their expertise with others in a very casual format, and it allows them to hone in on their presentation skills as well. We have an amazing panel today, and our topic is how to increase your business online, which is really key these days with the pandemic going on and being in the middle of a lockdown. So I'm excited to hear what our panelists have to say. And I am going to get started. Oh, Gilles back. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to get started. Our first presenter is Kimberley Coyle. Kimberley, from a young age, Kimberley Coyle has been passionate about communications and storytelling. She has a public relations diploma from Conestoga College and has worked in public relations communications departments, primarily in the agricultural sector for the past 10 plus years. In 2019, Kim branched out and began a freelance communications career to diversify her writing skills. And in July 2020, so in the middle of the pandemic, she took a leap and launched her own business. Kudos to you, Kimberly. Kimberly Coyle, the business is called Kimberly Coyle Content Creation. Kim continues to expand her knowledge through workshops, webinars, and courses, and was a member of the Eastern Canadian Farm Writers Federation for the past 11 years and was on the board of directors from 2015 to 2017. So I'd like to give a warm welcome to Kimberly. Before I turn it over to you, Kimberly, just a few housekeeping rules. What I do ask is that each presenter is going to present for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to open up the floor to questions. So you can either raise your hand and ask the question live, just unmute yourself, or you can put it in the chat box and we will read the question out loud. We'll spend about 5 minutes for the particular presenter, and then we'll move on to the next one. And then at the end, we'll have an open session for the panelists to answer any other questions that might have crossed your mind during the presentation. Alrighty, and I asked during the presenter's presentation that you do mute, just so that we don't get the feedback and whatnot. So Kimberly, I am going to pass it over to you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Sam, for that wonderful introduction. And I'm very excited to be presenting today. I'm going to just share my screen, so just bear with me while I just bring up my slides. All right, Sam, can you just confirm that you can see my my screen? Awesome. So I am going to just dive right in with some writing tips that hopefully you're going to find helpful both professionally and personally. So my first tip is it should go without saying, don't write your marketing material, even your social media posts, like their text messages. If you want your business to be taken seriously, please take the time and write professionally. Write out each sentence in its entirety, check your spelling and grammar before you hit publish or send on those messages, and take a read through the piece to make sure it actually says what you want it to say. You can only blame autocorrect so often. So my next tip is having a content plan for your social media posts, your email campaigns, and all of your marketing. Help set your business or you up successfully. So when you take the time to develop your content ideas in advance, whether it's for a week or a month, it alleviates the burnout of coming up with ideas on the fly. In return, it allows you to focus on other areas of your business. With that being said, if you are planning your content ahead of time, it's important to review those messages before they are posted to ensure that they are still relevant and time sensitive based on current events. Next, I'd like to talk about a term called batch content. Maybe this term sounds familiar to you, but you aren't completely sure what it means. Here's an analogy that I like to use. When you bake cookies, you don't make just one, right? You make a batch. It wouldn't be efficient or make sense to take all of the ingredients out and put in the effort to make one single cookie. So think of planning your content in that same way. When you block off a chunk of time to plan out your content for a longer period, for example, a week, a month, or even longer, getting the writing momentum going sometimes takes time, but once you get started, the ideas just start flowing. You can use that creative energy to your advantage. My next tip is that you probably know that you need to make your content engaging. But how do you do that? One way is that I suggest that using the specific platform, you use the tools offered, such as quizzes, polling questions, for example, and then using those features to gather audience feedback and then using that information as future content. And to tie in with that last tip, don't forget to have a specific call to action in your messages. No matter what the piece of writing is, it should include a link, contact information, and clear direction of what you want your reader to do. Effective communication takes your reader directly to where you want them to go. Don't leave it up to them to try and figure out what you want them to do. Make it easy for your readers to know exactly what action you want them to take. It could be buying your product, signing up for a webinar, such as this one, or asking for feedback on a new service that you're offering. And my final writing tip I'd like to share with you today is having a consistent tone and voice for all of your writing material. No matter what the piece is, it should have a consistent tone and style. If you have a team of writers, ensure that they're communicating the same messages in the same style that aligns with your vision and brand. I hope you found my tips helpful this morning, but now I'd like to open it up if you have any questions for me.
Wonderful. And okay, so Kimberly, do you want to stop sharing your screen and we'll see if
Okay.
anyone wants to ask a question. If you'd like to raise your hand, we can pick you, or if you want to write your uh, question in the chat box, we can grab it from there. Are there any questions? Kimberly, I have a question for you. How
Yeah.
personal do you get, like when you're doing your content? Do you keep a distance, like keep the business as the business, or do you interject your personality into it, or what do you suggest?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sam. And I think that it's perfectly acceptable to put a little bit of that personal tone into your messages, as people like to connect with a person and knowing a little bit about them as well. So, yeah, I definitely would put that personal touch.
Wonderful. All right. I'm sure that everyone's thinking about all of the messaging you sent out there, and I'm sure questions will arise in the chat forum. What I'll do is I'll go on to our next speaker. Uh,
Sam, I do just see a question in the chat box
oh,
from
perfect.
Diana. She's asking what tool or program I use for blogs.
Perfect.
And personally, I use WordPress. I find it's very user friendly and pretty well accepted. And people know WordPress. So that's what I use.
Wonderful. And there is another question. Do you have a recommended program for content
Oh,
planning and scheduling? And then, oh, and what is the
yeah.
tool program? So that's the same, it overlaps there.
Yeah, so that's a great question about the content scheduling and planning. I've used a variety of different programs, including Hootsuite and Sprout Social. I know that Zoho is something that a lot of people use as well. So that's another option as well.
Okay. And then do you find a specific social media platform works best for you, or is it really dependent on the audience that you're targeting?
That's a tough question because with so many different platforms and different audiences are on the different platforms, it really depends on who you're trying to reach. I find for obviously for business, LinkedIn is best. But then if you're trying to reach, if you're doing more graphics, Instagram is the place to be. And Twitter, I find, is more sharing of articles, and it's more conversational and very short as well. So it really depends on the audience.
Wonderful. I think Robin's going to get more into depth into that with her presentation as well. So we look forward to that. All right, I'm going to move on to Gilles Paquette. Gilles Paquette is an energetic, creative, strategic minded, and digital savvy communications leader. With over 20 years of experience within a variety of industries, Gilles has curated a solid record of success in helping entrepreneurs to corporations, communicating their brand, and to help grow their business. He founded CmonGo Creative and Associates Ltd in 2013 and continues to operate a full service virtual agency dedicated to helping small and medium businesses with their digital and traditional marketing needs. He is passionate and committed to helping local businesses succeed in his home community and is a proud member of the Milton Chamber of Commerce and regional director with the Entrepreneur Nation. TEN, helping Milton business owners help each other by building smaller boardroom style mastermind chapters of like minded individuals. And that was Jill. I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you very much, Sam, for that great introduction. I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. So I'll share my screen here and we'll get right into it. So I'm going to be talking about communicating your brand, but in particular, when it relates to a particular channel, your website. So with that, let me share my screen here and make sure that things will show up properly. I will share this here and I will click presenter. So hopefully everybody can see my screen, my slides in full. No, not correct.
No,
Okay, well, maybe I have to share my desktop is what, let me try this again. No, not that. Stop sharing. Where's my stop sharing here? All right, that's not working. Bear with me 1 second here. Let me try this again. Share desktop.
don't you
Share.
love technology?
I love technology. Now are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, we can see the screen. It's in the desktop version.
It's in the desktop version. Now, if I click present, can you see my screen in full?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, we'll dive right in because I can go on and on about this stuff. This is my soapbox. I was asked, to provide some insights on building websites that budge the needle when it comes to converting your visitors to actual customers. And you can do that by properly communicating your brand through that channel, which is your website. Now, there's some successful stories and tidbits that I've worked in from one of our clients, and I'm hoping I'll be able to share some of this and discuss some of this with you today. So feel free, if you do have a question, I'm pretty comfortable. If you wanted to interrupt me midway, I'm fine with that. So feel free if there's something that comes up. All right, so just so you know, so you need a website, right? A lot of people think that building one, is just a matter of getting a web developer that knows HTML and JavaScript code and getting a website. Yeah, those are the websites of yesteryears. I kind of refer to them as glorified yellow page listings, if you will. But today, building one that works takes a lot more time than you think and a lot more expertise. And the expertise is who we have here today. So we've got a content marketing expert, we've got a social media expert, and then myself, we pride ourselves on building websites. We don't just build websites, we build online businesses. So first things first, your brand, how people perceive your business, we're going to talk about quickly. Becoming your brand, and how that's important early on, and how you're able to, and how your brand needs to speak for itself later on. Reflecting on your strategy, optimizing customer touch points, and then the actual website being the key piece. And then there'll be more time for hopefully Q&A at the end if I don't take too much of my time talking. So let's go right into it. Let's go with the pain points. All right, what's the biggest problem with many websites today? They, like I mentioned, they don't budge the needle. They don't actually convert visitors to sales. So a lot of people say, well, it's so expensive. Websites are so expensive and it's not giving me results. Well, the thing is most businesses will dive into something without considering their brand. And these businesses will spend thousands of dollars, sometimes, and sometimes less, because, websites, people are expecting it to be, a couple of $1,000s, and they're getting little to no results. And, that becomes a problem over time. So they keep marketing more and more, but they never connect properly to their client because of that underlying cause, which is their brand. All right, so it could take a lot of time before a business owner realizes, and a lot of wasted time before they realize they need to start switching it up and switching their marketing tactics. Strategic branding is going to do that. It's going to give you the clarity to communicate directly to your market. So with that said, when you're looking for an agency to build your website, you want to look more than just for a web developer. You want to look for an agency that also has that strategic mindset and that is going to ask you the right questions to drive you through the process and work with a content marketer and social media expert to be able to drive sales. All right. Now, other pain points that people have, you're generating a lot of unqualified leads. You're not attracting the right people. Your website's getting a lot of traffic, but no sales. You're not getting anything. So that's a big problem. And that's because you probably didn't spend the time needed up front to understand your ideal customer. Now, number 3, you're having customer loyalty issues, another pain point. Well, you may be good at getting customers in the door, but getting them to stick around or return could be a lot more difficult. This is the time when branding helps. All right, helps you strategically align your experience with your customer, with your brand promise, okay, and your values. Customer experience shouldn't be happening in your business by accident. You should have thought about this. The best brands invest time, invest resources in the design of their customer experience, and your website becomes a key piece of that. Maya Angelou said it best, I've learned that people will forget what you said, okay, but people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So the experience is a key piece. All right, pain point number 4, you're dealing with owner dependency issues. So let's look at Bob as an example. Bob is our favorite customer, and he asks, you ask him why he loves doing business with you. And if your name comes up as the reason, you may be dealing with owner dependency issues. So this could be really great if you're a solo entrepreneur, and you're in the beginning stages of your business, but you're not going to be able to clone yourself later on. And if you want to build a business that can expand and that you can grow, all right, you need to be able to go through branding exercises that'll help identify those values that you have and transfer them to your company's brand. So the next time you ask Bob why he loves doing business with you, he should refer to your brand. All right. And that'll allow you to then train your staff to communicate your brand, and you'll be able to scale more properly. So that's another pain point. You're losing business to your competition. Many business spend countless hours trying to refine their product listings, their deliverables. The problem isn't the market. The problem is that the market usually doesn't care about that stuff. All right. What the market really cares about is what you sell, but the aspirational value they get when they do business with you. All right. So your customers just don't want to buy from you. They want to belong. And that's the websites of today. The websites of today tell a story. Get them engaged. You're speaking to your audience in the second person. Kimberly alluded to that answering one of the questions. Like, you want to speak to your audience. All right. Now, branding will help you clarify your why. All right. And it'll bring it into the spotlight. Okay. Another pain point, your old bulletproof strategies that were always awesome are no longer working. So you've built this successful business. All right. You have systems, processes, a whole bunch of loyal customers. All right. And what happens is something has changed in the market, and we can all attest to that these days. Something has changed in the market, and as time passed, you failed to innovate. All right. And therefore things remain the same, such as your website, such as your other marketing collateral. And then what ends up happening is you end up, as a result, your business really becomes kind of stagnant. And a lot of websites are stagnant today. People think they build a website and they can just leave it. All right. Websites need to be living and breathing today. All right. Another thing, you're having trouble recruiting or retaining employees. Big pain point. Again, related to your brand, your messaging. One of the largest investments businesses can make in their workforce, all right, in dealing with turnover, all right, is basically being able to properly convey aspirational values to your employees, your brand to your employees, so that they can then send those values to bring your customers in, and they'll become vital when your customers are dealing with your employees, and vice versa. All right. Branding will help you identify those characteristics of your ideal employee, and it'll come in handy when you're recruiting. All right. So are you ready to consider your brand? At first approach, maybe, you might be thinking, does your business, and especially your website, could it very well be the only thing you need to help you get to the next level? All right. So maybe branding is that thing that you need. You've got everything else. You've got your website, you've got content, but perhaps it's that brand piece, right? Now, next slide. What is a brand? Well, brand's a perception. It is your market's perception of your business. It's the sum total of their opinions, their feelings, actions. All right. That's your customers we're talking about as they engage with you. Your website's a key piece of that marketing collateral that can tell that story and convert your visitors into customers. All right. When we talk about your customer experience, this is what we talk about: pre-purchase, purchase, post-purchase. Where does your website fall into that? All right. And it's become a bigger and bigger piece. All right, that becomes an important thing to think about. To build better websites, you need to better understand your customers. Here's what you can do. First, begin by going step by step through your customer's journey. Consider asking them to fill out surveys. Go to your early adopters that dealt with you and ask them about their experience, what they liked, what they didn't like. Get their firsthand identification on what's working and what isn't. See the pain points they're going through, okay? And decide now how can you alleviate these pain points for your ideal customer and boost your brand. All right, that's an important component. So quick step. How am I doing for time, Sam? 5 minutes? Okay. So more than just a website, okay? It should be a lead generating machine. And for that to happen, you need to go through a discovery process with a web designer that can help you position your brand, make sure that your brand is properly positioned. And then you can increase trust, give people reason to care about your business, tell your story, and then provide a consistent unifying message for what's to come. And this helps everybody. This helps everybody. It helps your content creator, your copywriter. It helps your social media poster, your strategic social media person. It helps everybody. Next is the strategy and reflection. Okay, we need to identify those business goals. What your values? What's your unique value? Your UVP, unique value proposition. What are you offering? All right. How do you adapt to the changing environment? All right. Your ongoing development. How do you communicate? How do you pivot and respond? The discovery, it's, all aboard, everybody. We try to get all the decision makers and stakeholders aboard. That's a key piece. All right. Then it's about optimizing your touch points when we design websites. We've got to look, okay, what are the touch points across the journey? And how can we maximize that when a visitor comes to the website? We look at, we call these CTAs on the website, like call to actions. How can we make the client go through the website and maximize those touch points? All right. Here's an example of how we look at websites. The websites today, they're not just a business listing. They're not about you. Your website should not be about you. It should have an about us page, and we'll talk about that in a second, but it should not be about you. All right. It should be about your customer. All right. Oh, pardon me. So it should be about your customer. So when we look at this, all right, we look at how your website fits as a sales machine, lead generation machine, a sales funnel. A lot of people probably recognize this right now. So this is the way we look at websites. You've got your digital strategy, you got your email marketing programs, you've got your social media, your content marketing, your directories, you've got word of mouth referrals. Everything's feeding into your website. And your website should inform, build trust, and persuade. And then it should have CTAs, call to actions, opt-in form. All right. Maybe they're not going to buy from you the first time they go to your website. Maybe they're going to fill in your form, though, to hear about you in your newsletter, if you have a good newsletter with a lot of value. And then that's going to bring them back into your funnel. So the next month when you send them a newsletter, they're going to come back and they're going to come back to your website. And maybe that second time they're going to contact you. Well, see what's happening here. They're moving down your sales funnel. Then all of a sudden they'll contact you and you might answer some questions, offer some value to them. And you know what? A few months down the line, they're looking for somebody, all right, to build their website, or they're looking, they're looking to buy something from you, all right, from what they've seen on your website. And then all of a sudden they come back to your website and now they're ready to purchase. They become that new customer. All right. So very important piece. So your website speaks to your audience. You got to be consistent, digital or otherwise, and be authentic. Make sure you keep your audience engaged. All right. Now, Branding will help you identify these characteristics, all right? And it'll help you identify, just to kind of do a quick recap, it'll help you with recruitment, with your ideal employees that you wanna hire. It'll help you attract your ideal customers, the ones who love you. It'll also help you transfer, okay, those values to a brand, to your company, to your company's brand. Now, why is that important? Well, if you want to sell your business down the line, all right, there needs to be value in the business. A lot of business owners have trouble selling their business because they're the brand and they've remained the brand. They've expanded, but all the value is in them. So they need to be able to share. You need to be able to let go and share that value and build it into your brand. So Simon Sinek, really like Simon Sinek. If you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe in what you believe, they'll work for you with blood, sweat, and tears. So again, communicating your brand is more than just your website. So your website basically is one space where your brand is going to shine. Social media, all right, your product packaging, your invoices that you send out. You got to think of everything. Everything is an opportunity to communicate your brand. All right. So to recap, you don't just want to go and build a website. All right. You want to make sure you're define your brand values first. You want to go through strategy and reflection. You want to optimize your customer touch points, find out what's working, what's not. Then you can move confidently and know that you can give direction to your web developer, or you can give, and a lot of people need guidance for that. And that's what we offer. We offer that guidance to drive people through to what they need to be able to build a proper website that converts visitors into consumers. And that, my friends, is the tips I have for you today. I know I probably skimmed through. We only had 10 minutes, so I wanted to try to keep to my time, Sam. I hope I didn't go over.
No
So
worries at all. Do we have any questions from the audience? Jill, do you want to
let me stop sharing here.
perfect.
Yeah.
All right, and we have a question from Heather. Do you have recommendations on increasing non-paid SEO?
Non-paid SEO. Okay. Yes, there are ways you can increase your SEO on your own. And with the website, they call it just typically the on-page SEO. A lot of that stuff you can do by yourself. So there's metadata that you can change. So every page on your website has a title, okay, for the Google robots to recognize, and then it has a description, a descriptor, and then it has a priority, an SEO priority. If you have a really good content management system that you're using for your website, you can adjust those very easily. So you can adjust depending on your ad campaigns, depending on what you're doing, you can adjust your description with the keywords that matter. You can adjust your titles of your page, all right, that Google comes and reads. And make sure you have a hierarchy on each of your pages. Each of your pages should have an H1 tag, so anybody who knows HTML, that's basically a title on the page, so that Google recognizes that, okay, here's what that page is about when it's indexing. And that really helps SEO, because when Google's trying to prioritize whether or not you're a good authority on the subject matter that the person is searching for, that's a key piece. Now, another thing you can do, I don't think, did I stop sharing? Yeah.
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay, so another thing you can do as well is Google what you think people are searching for your business. You know, if they're searching for best Italian restaurant, okay, all these suggestions here are things that people actually typed into Google. This is not just fluke. This is stuff that's been typed in. So when you look at these are good keywords. So if you're in a restaurateur and you own an Italian restaurant in Milton, well, you know, best restaurant near me. So people will often, so what that tells me is that they'll often add a geotag to it. So, and then you've got people look for Italian sandwiches, meatballs. So these, you could pull all these keywords based on what is suggested as you start searching yourself. So this is free. This doesn't cost you anything. You can use Google to help you find some of these keywords.
Wonderful. And we do have one more question, Jill. I'm going to ask if we can keep it brief. Just we do need to get on to Robin
Sure,
to make sure that she has enough time as well. So the
absolutely.
question that I see here is I've seen different website platforms. Do you have any recommendations?
Um, the website platforms, that's a great question. There are a lot of website platforms out there. WordPress is very popular because it's an open source software. Which means it's free. It doesn't cost anything for the software. And there's a lot of support. There's a lot of templates and plugins. There's a lot of developers that develop stuff for it. But there are other platforms out there that are better for some companies where you may not be as savvy necessarily with the website or the back end. Those are called software as a service, SaaS. You might have seen that word, SaaS. So there's a lot of those on the market. So for example, Chameleon CMS is one. That's one of our in-house content management systems. Duda is another. There's a lot of content management systems out there that exists that are software as a service. Therefore, you don't have to worry about updating it and maintaining it. It's a software. So, but it's a little bit more expensive for the hosting because you're paying a license fee for that software as well.
All right, wonderful, Jill. Thank you so much for all that great information. As I said, if you do have any other questions, just put them into the chat forum and we'll move on to Robin and let Robin do her presentation, and then we'll open up the panel for everybody as well. But some great tips going on here. I'm loving it. So Robin is a marketing communications professional with over 20 years of experience. Robin is the co-owner and director, sales and marketing of Active Results Collaborative, which was established in 2020. She has a strong rooted passion for social media, customer service, and event planning. Robin has consulted on and managed marketing and social media platforms for well known brands such as Tally Towels, Windsor Salt, Rock Salt, TEDx Milton, Heartache to Hope, Townsend Smith Hospice Foundation, United Way of Milton, and more. Robin is known in Milton and surrounding communities as a social media training and management expert. Her support in shop local movement is shown in her commitment, and she gives her time to fundraising and to gather for social good. Robin is also known as the Twitter queen here in Milton, and she has organized a lot of tweet ups as well. So, with that, Robin, I am going to pass it over to you. Robin, are you there? And I'm not sure. I'm not seeing Robin. So, you know what? I'm going to open it up for discussion while we get Robin back. Looks like we're having all kinds of technical difficulties today. um, so, are there any questions that anyone has for both Kimberly and Gilles? I think Gilles, how do you suggest having tools on your website, such as your Twitter feed, loading onto there or loading your blogs on or articles or whatnot? And how often should you be refreshing your website to keep it top of mind?
Absolutely. Like a website today, for Google's algorithm to stay on top, to be able to be found, it needs to change. So Google needs to see that it's alive. What happens if you don't touch your website for 3 months? Google will come and say, okay, this hasn't been touched for 3 months. What are the questions it asks? Is it open still? Oh, I see that Robin's back. So yeah. So those are the things, right? So blogs are good. Like you say, if you have a widget that shows your Twitter feed, that's one thing. But actually changing content on the actual site is even better, because when Google comes, they see that when they match it up, there's something different. So the site is active. So that's a key piece. So content, that's where Kimberley comes in. She can really help with getting some fresh content for you.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
All right, Robin, glad to see you back. I'm going to pass it over to you. No
So
worries,
sorry about
technical
that. Of course, as soon as
difficulties.
I went to share my screen, Zoom kicked me out entirely.
Oh, no. All right, well, we're glad to have you back.
Okay. All right, can we see my screen? You're good? Okay. So thank you for that wonderful introduction, Sam. I don't really need to tell you much more about that. So there is a little bit more about me behind the business. And, you know, first off, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a mother, a friend, an entrepreneur, a business partner, and a community connector. So I am a co-owner and the director of sales and marketing for Active Results Collaborative, which is ARC for short. And not just a little sampling of what we do. I'll move through that quickly because I know we're running out of time, but the slides will be available for you guys to review afterwards if you wish. So I'm going to dive in and talk to you today a little bit about social media marketing and social selling. So one of the questions that it kind of came up when Kimberly was talking earlier too was, you know, different audiences and platforms. So one of the things that you want to look into is making sure that you are on the right social media platforms to reach your ideal target audience. So knowing your audience is critical to any digital marketing, your website, your content, your social media marketing, all marketing really. And so you need to know who you're trying to reach. What are they interested in? Is the content that you're sharing going to capture their interest? Oh, and that picture there, Sam took of us. So that's my business partner, Cheryl Rack, too, in case you're wondering. She is the other co-owner of the organization. So there is a lot of social media platforms. Some of you on here I know are pretty social media savvy, but there are others that may be a little bit shy or nervous around social media platforms. So there's a lot of different social media platforms available. I've just listed some of the more popular platforms here. So as you know, this last year has really changed the way businesses do business, and a lot more have had to pivot to be online and working from home. So there's a lot of stats available so that you can look into this afterwards, but 48% of companies identified expanding reach to new buyers as a benefit to social sales. So especially in this last year with people working from home and so on, they're really looking to be online to sell their products and their services. So when you're on there, and this touches into your content as well, is you really want to focus in on the human element. So you want to be present, we're going to talk about relationship building and some tools for success as well. So with be present, you really want to be where your customers are. So that's going to look into your personas. So when you break down your customer personas, find out, what social media platforms are they using? Because, if you want to be on a social media platform just because you enjoy it, but your customers aren't there, then it's not going to bring you a lot of business. So make sure that you take that time, do that research, and find out where your audience is. And you want to research best practices for the various platforms as well, because sometimes, actually a lot of times, I have seen companies using social media, and just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. One example I may add is posting to all social media platforms all at once with the exact same messaging. It's important to switch things up and be strategic. So you really want to build your strategies for each individual platform that you are on. And you want to use your social media for relationship building. And that's where your content comes into play. And that's, you want to be authentic, you want to be helpful, you want to be engaging, and you really want to be a thought leader in your industry. So some of the tools for success is using relevant hashtags and keywords. So the tip that Gilles had shared earlier on with the Google, that's a great way to find some relevant keywords that you can not only plug into your website for metadata, but you can also use those keywords in your social media content messaging too. And there are various tools that are available where you can listen, because whether or not you are on social media, people are going to be talking about you. So you may as well, be in and part of that conversation as well. Influencer marketing is a pretty big one. More and more brands have fallen into using influencers and nano influencers to help get their brand messaging out, using a brand ambassador, finding those people that are already using your products and services. So they're really amplifying that message for you. So you want to be able to connect with them and show your appreciation to them too. So going back with social media for success, you really need to provide great content, because if you're not providing great content, people are just not going to care. And you also want to be like Brenda. Who's Brenda, you ask? Brenda knows that 75% of buyers use social media to research vendors. Brenda knows that 90% of decision makers say that they never respond to cold outreach. Brenda shares her knowledge and her expertise online. Brenda does not commit to random acts of content. It's well planned. Brenda is authentic. So you want to be like Brenda. So one of the questions that had come up before was, the best times to post. Now, there was a survey that Sprout Social had done in the beginning of 2020, and then that is actually updated because it drastically changed about this time last year when everybody started working from home. So I've just posted for some of the more regular, popular platforms there. Now, keep in mind, these are just general times to post. Like, these are very generic. So it's really important to find out the best times to post for your brand is to check the insights, whether it be on Facebook on Twitter, on Instagram. There are tools within those platforms that show you the best times to reach your audience that are following your channels. So if you need any help trying to figure out where to find those on those particular platforms, feel free to reach out to me. I know I whizzed through that, but I know that you probably have a lot of questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And there's just some information there that you can find me offline.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Robin.
You're
That was
welcome.
terrific. There's a lot in social media. So you put up a whole array of platforms there. Should the businesses be on every single, I think I'm on like 4 or 5 of those, but I wasn't on all of those. Should a business be on every single one of those platforms?
No, my recommendation is if you're going to be there, don't be there just for the sake of being there. You want to actually have a consistent presence. So if you don't have the time or the resources to manage it internally yourself, there are resources available, like companies like mine, like Gilles, that have social media specialists that you can outsource to. If that is not a possibility with your business, then stick to the platforms that you are most comfortable with, because people do get turned off if you are on a platform and just not paying it any attention.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Robin for social media? While everyone is thinking about their questions, I am going to get Harjeet to put up our spinning wheel. Our presenters today have so graciously put together a business package for one lucky winner, and they're going to receive all three of their a consultation from all three of them to revamp their business. So we are going to draw for the grand prize first. So let's give her a spin. Tammy West. Woohoo! That is awesome. Tommy West. Sorry. Congratulations, Tommy. That is amazing. You have won our grand prize, and we will reach out to you and let you know how you can claim your prize. And then we have 3 gift cards as well from various restaurants. Each presenter has donated one. So, Diana, wonderful. Diana, congratulations. You have won a gift card, and that gift card will be from Make Cafe from Kimberley Coyle. Okay, so we will get a gift card out to you. Robin, do you know which gift card you're doing?
Yes, I do. Mine is for Luigi's Lasagna and Pizzeria.
Very nice. So, Stephanie, congratulations. You've won a pizza party. Woot woot. So, we will get you out there. We'll get you your gift card to Stephanie. And then, Gilles, do you know which gift card you've got? Oh, you just got to unmute yourself, Gilles.
Yeah, I was going to actually put together a dinner for 2 at Casa Americo. So
Wonderful. So, Brittany, you're going to enjoy some Italian cuisine. And Casa America is one of my favorites. So, congratulations. Alrighty, let's go into the chat and see if any other questions came up.
Sam, if you don't mind, I just want to go back to the question that Heather had about non-paid SEO.
Yes.
So one of the things on top of, what Gilles had mentioned too, that a lot of people are not really utilizing as they could is the Google My Business. So Google My Business, most have a Google listing. There's an opportunity there to post there on a regular basis. And Google loves Google. So when you're actually posting to Google My Business, that really helps to increase your non-paid SEO as well.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. And it's key to keep that up to date because that's what people look at. I know a lot of business owners in the time of COVID, what's happened is what they don't even know they have it, or they don't pay attention to it. And what happens is customers rely on that. So if they see your hours and you're showing yourself as open, and they show up at your door and you didn't update your Google My Business listing, like you have a frustrated customer. So definitely, I echo Robin's Robin's comment there to not only post, stay active on it, make sure you keep it up to date as well.
Wonderful. All right. And so I'm just going to close up. Thank you so much to our amazing panelists today, Kimberly, Gilles, and Robin. Thank you for taking the time to share your expertise. If anyone has any other questions or you think of something after the session is done, please feel free to connect with them. Each of them will put their contact information in the chat forum, and we will be sending out the presentation slides as well with their information in an email, just a closure email as well. And all of the winners will receive communication on how to claim their prizes too. Okay, so in closing, I just want to let you know that our scholarship deadline is happening on April the 30th, so just a couple of days out. If you know anyone deserving of a scholarship, please let them know to apply. It's for students in Milton, a child of a chamber member, and a student entering an apprenticeship program. And once again, the application deadline is the 30th. We do have the Milton Breakfast Club coming up on May 12th from 8 to 9 a.m. It is sponsored by Bensel Consulting. It is an opportunity for you to spotlight your business. We do have a pitch from the podium available for 2 people. We also have our virtual happening on May the 18th. It's always fun times. It's going on from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. And our next business after hours is taking place on May the 18th as well. You'll have the opportunity to cheer on the contestants in their final task of the incredible race. So it will be a great opportunity to see some of our teams in action. All right, our next live at lunch is on Wednesday, May the 26th from 11:30 to 12:30. And if you are a business and you are a member and you feel that you have something to share with other businesses, please get in touch with us at events@miltonchamber.ca. Let us know what you'd like to talk about. And who knows, maybe you will be here on a live at lunch in the future. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.